Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. Today we're in our F-14B that's just been released and we're doing the testing the performance. So we've done all sorts. We've done testing acceleration, high level, low level, testing speed, high level, low level, testing climb rate, testing dive rate, testing max altitude, just about everything. And now we've got to do the sustained turn rate, which is a really important one for a fighter. Now I'm not going to explain the exact method because it's going to take ages to explain it. If you want to know the method, I've got a full 20-minute video justifying how I've done this method. You'll find that probably somewhere near the top of the Max Performance Aircraft playlist that's in YouTube, so you can go and have a look at that if you want. What we will do is go over the parameters for the test, and it's all our usual stuff. 29.9, 2 inches of mercury, Q&H, 20 degrees C at ground level. Now gas, the aircraft is completely clean of stores and pylons where possible. Gas is the interesting one. Now for the turn rate, all the aircraft are tested with 50% gas. It's a divisive one, that is. The problem is it artificially makes the aircraft that can carry a lot of gas, like a flanker, like a Tomcat, it's going to make them turn a lot slower in comparison to things that carry not much gas, like a MiG-29 for instance. And that's something we have to accept. I mean, the reason I did it like this for this test is that it's a very important test for comparing these planes in an actual fight, in an actual dogfight. And so I wanted to make it as realistic as possible to make the results as useful as possible. And in reality, you're not going to be dogfighting with 10% fuel like I've done all of my other tests with. You're going to be dogfighting closer to 50% fuel. So that's the thing. Now there is some people arguing that, well, the maximum military fuel load of a flanker is actually 60%. So then I should have done the flankers at 30% to represent 50% of the military amount. I mean, I really don't know. I just don't know. So for the time being, at least, I'm doing everything with 50% gas. And then and maybe if I wanted to change it, I'll go down to 10% gas. But I mean, it's too late. They're all done, and it's taken about 10 hours to get all this lot done. So that's just how it's been out. Now, out of interest, I will do it with 50% gas of this Tomcat. It will be slow because it carries a lot of gas. That's just physics. And then I'll try it with 10%, just purely out of interest to see how much difference there is. And in case we do some more future tests with 10%. Once we've done that, it's going to take about 10 minutes to do the actual 2 tests. Then once we've done that, we're going to put the results through to Tack View. We can analyse them and try and get the most sensible data we can. And then at the end of the video, we'll compare that turn rate video with the other aircraft that we found. Okay, so that's going for attempt 1, about 250 knots. Burners on. Turn in. Gotta try and get us stable. Holding. Slowly increase the radius. $350 knots. $400 knots. Ruby, if you get a chance, could you check if my wings are folded back?
No, fully forward.
Okay, that's what I was hoping. Okay, that's the test complete with 50% gas. Now let's go and get another bird with 10% gas. Okay, new bird, 10% gas. Let's retry. Burners on. Let's get going. Christ!
Sink rate's too high.
I'm a dead. That was really hard. Okay, so it turns out this thing is a bit of a widowmaker. I haven't got my info bar at the bottom here, so I don't know whether that was over alpha. I presume it was over alpha. Either way, it was not very pleasant. So I guess we're just going to try again and see what happens, and just watch out for that alpha. So turn in. Power on. Start eking the radius out a little. Right, up to 600 knots. Okay, that was interesting. So that's the test done with 10% fuel and 50% fuel. The next thing we'll do is we'll transfer the data through to Tack View, and we'll see if we can draw some actual conclusions from that. Okay, so we're in the Tack View now. I'm going to look at the first test, which is the Tomcat with 50% gas. So we've got here the true airspeed, we've got the ASL in feet, we've got the angle of attack, we've got the G, and we've got the turn rate. All things useful in looking at what we're doing today. And we're going to go through, watch the whole run, pretty much second for second, and then we're going to make notes as we go, and we're going to make a kind of a human conclusion at the end. I've done several tests of varying methods over the years, and this is the one that I found the best. It just gives the best kind of overall outcome and the most realistic outcome. So anyway, let's just get on with it. So we're going to play it 1-to-1. So what I'm going to do is get to about 300 knots, hold that, and then slowly eke it out towards about 600 knots. So I'm fast at the moment. Presumably I'm going to bring that back down. So I'm just ignoring it for the moment. I'm probably bringing it back down towards 300. Now, interestingly, I'm already seeing some amazing turn rates. In fact, we should talk about this and make predictions before we even get any further. So the clear winner at the moment is the F-18, and that's surprising because it's got a crap power to weight ratio compared to the other aircraft. Why is it such a good turner? Probably, I guess, because of the wings. Other people may know better than me, but what I noticed about the Hornet compared to all the other fighters is it's got the less swept wing, it's got a straighter wing. That's the only thing I can really think as to why it has. And I mean, the fuel load isn't particularly low. It's like 10,000 pounds, so that's 5,000 at 50%. So that's a lot higher than the MiG-29, but the MiG-29's got much more swept wings. So I think this test is all about wing sweep, and you're probably going to tell me I'm wrong, and you're probably going to be right. So let's stimulate conversation, as we like to do. Now, the F-14 here has extremely, even more so than the Hornet probably, straight wings. So from that, I think it's going to do well. It's big, it's heavy, it's cumbersome, but it's got straight wings. So I think it's going to do well. Power to weight is pretty good. It's, from what I understand, it is the same as the F-15, or maybe even better. So it's got all things going for it, I think. But we'll see. Anyway, sorry, we're going to carry on. So we've got it down to 300. We're actually going to start the test about now, but yeah, the test is starting. So let's look. We're going to look at G, alpha, and turn rate. 20. 20, bouncing around 20 and 21. And what we're going to see as we do this is we're going to get spikes when I pull on the stick a little bit harder, because I'm human, I make errors, and it will suddenly spike. And the idea with looking at this with human eyes is so that we can eliminate those spikes and get the true kind of sustained constant. Right, we're now sustaining 330. Oh, I thought that was sustaining about 21.5. It's gone down, so that was a spike. So sustaining 20, which is good so far. That's a lot better than a flanker does, and a flanker's obviously got an even bigger fuel load than the Tomcat. So we're squarely on 19. Now, interestingly, it's going down. Now, that is weird. I certainly wasn't expecting that. Most of these fighters, the higher you get towards 9G, the better the turn rate. So your best turn rate usually comes out about 450-ish, depending on the wing. So this is weird so far. It's almost like it's going to turn better slow, which is weird. It's going up again. Okay, we're back up again. Down again. 400 knots. We're bringing the G up now. We're 6.5, getting towards 7G. But interestingly, the turn rate's going down. I've never seen this in any fighter before. One thing about this Tomcat, it never surprises. Its dynamics and its physics are so different to any other fighter we've looked at so far. And I've been looking at, if you've been watching these videos, all sorts of stuff. It's just weird. We're above 7G now. So that is sustaining 20 degrees there. No, it's back off again. Maybe that wasn't sustained. And we're 430 knots now, all the way down at 17 degrees per second, the turn rate is, by the way. above 7G, 18 degrees per second, 450 knots, so an F-15 or something like an F-15 is going to be almost maxing out now, MiG-29, between 450 and 500. It's going to be hard to see out the window now because of G. We're now it's bouncing all over the place. You see it's moving about. That's because I'm having to let off the stick to stop me passing out. I'm over 8G. If you remember, it's constantly going in and out of tunnel vision. So it's going to get really hard to hold it constantly. And it's getting lower now. It's just getting lower. I can't handle the G. I can't handle... At 8G, it's my guys passing out, basically. Full black screen. So that's that. How interesting. Not at all what I thought. I would have thought we would have maxed out at 400 to 450. But that really didn't play. What we actually saw, if we scroll back, what was that? The max was 20 to 21. The max was 20. Possibly even slightly above 20 at... And this is why I do this. I think a human really has to do this to phase out any fluctuations. 20. I suppose you can make an algorithm to do it. But so that is 300 knots to 300 to 330 is where its peak was. If anyone can explain that, let me know. And that's 20 degrees per second. Pretty happy with that. I know it spiked a few times up to 21 and 22, but I'm pretty sure they were spikes. You could argue that maybe even lower would be less, but I don't think so. I might do a small test off the camera after this, but it's very unlikely that below 300 is going to be better turn rate. Oh, it certainly would be very weird if that was the case. Anyway, so that was the official figure. That was 50% gas. Now let's go and have a look at the 10% gas, purely for, to interest. Okay, here he goes. Off you go, mate. So we're going to get down to 300. There we go. So we're going to see a better turn rate. Obviously, this is so this is what you're going to see in the kind of quoted figures, because the quoted figures they'll be done with minimum fuel in the real aeroplane, if you know what I mean. So yeah, you're 23 now. Well, we had 20, you got 23, 24, 25. Look at that turn rate, unbelievable. Bear in mind a flanker tops out, real life flanker blocks out at 22.5 maximum stripped down. This is amazing, amazing. Okay, something weird happened there. Must have been a lag spike. We'll just ignore that. 23. 24, 25, 26, 27. Unglaublich. That's 24. So that was a full circle at 24 at 330 knots. Make a note of that, and it's still 24, so it's 330. Yeah, 3, and now it's getting and now it's getting lower again, I think, as it gets faster, which is interesting. No, 24, 23. It is getting lower towards 400. Look, just like the 50% gas one did. So this plane turns slower as it gets faster. Why is that? The other planes are different. All of them are different. Actually, the Hornet's a bit like this. The Hornet, no one will believe me, but Hornet actually turns... actually, that's not quite true, so I'm not going to say that. And you can see we're above 400 now, and it's really slowed down there. I don't think we're going to get any... I don't think we're going to get any faster. It's not stopping. Yeah, just gets slower. So... with no gas, we might as well put this on the chart because it's interesting. So, no, hang on, concentrate. So, all the way from 330 to we had some glitches in there, but that is just 330. Well, yeah, that was 24 at 330 to 340. Let me write that down. 330 to 340. 10% gas was 24 degrees per second. Sustained. We had some odds and sods towards 400, but it never went up to 24 again. Well, those are the figures. The figures don't lie. There was a 4% increase when reducing 40% of the gas. Interesting. Right, next we're going to put those results on the big table and then we'll talk. Okay, here we go. Data analysis. So, peak sustained turn rate with 50% gas. I've split this into heavy fighters and light fighters. So, heavy fighters, F-14, F-15, Flanker and Sea Flanker. Light fighters, Mirage, MiG-29, and FA-18C. So, heavy fighters, F-14B wins. On fair terms, with half gas, it's got the highest sustained turn rate. Now, the interesting thing is, as I pointed out earlier, is the range. It's 300 to 330 knots. Weird, huh? But that's just how it is. Why is the 27 and the 33 lower, crapper than the F-15C when the Su-27, when the flankers are, they're turn fighters, aren't they? The reason is, simple physics. Because of the fuel load they're carrying, they carry, I think, about 9 tons of fuel. That is, just off the top of my head, 19,000 pounds. The F-15 is, 13,000 pounds. The F-14 is 16,000 pounds. So there's just a lot more weight that they're lugging around. Now, if you put all these down to, zero gas, I reckon probably the flankers will be the best turn fighters here. For the heavy fighters, obviously. I don't really like comparing them to the light fighters because it's, it's a completely different thing, I think. So it puts it equal with a Mirage 2000. It's slightly less than a MiG-29 and it's 2 degrees less than an FA-18. The FA-18 just seems to be king there at 420. So that's that. Pretty impressive. Very impressive. I'm chuffed with that. It was a big, sluggish fighter and it could have been crap, but it's good. One thing to note of this is that the faster you turn, the slower the turn rate gets, unlike the bigger fighters. The bigger fighters tend to get their maximums around kind of 450, 500. It's just how they were designed. So the F-14, you don't want to be turning at 500 knots. You want to be turning at 315. So that's a really important thing to learn. So that's something I'm going to take note of. And a quick look at the difference if I've got only 10% gas. So if I take 40% of the gas away, globally 40% of the gas away, get down to 10% gas, it's up to 24 degrees per second, so that's 4 degrees per second more. I mean, that's a lot. Obviously, it doesn't really mean anything at the moment because I haven't done any of the others on 10% gas, but the official figures for a Flanker A with, airshow status, i.e. running on fumes, is 22.5 degrees. So it's, again, if it was running on fumes, again, it is nearly 2 degrees per second faster than the Flanker. So what you could almost say is that all of these fighters, if we took their gas down to 10%, chances are you probably just need to add 4, so that the F-15 will get up to 23, the Su-27 up to 22, which is, that's the real one. The Su-33 is just heavier. I didn't use special afterburner mode as well. Maybe I should have. If it did use special afterburner mode, I can almost guarantee it will be almost identical or slightly higher than the Su-27, but basically the Su-27 in that case. And the Mirage would go up to 24, the MiG up to 25, and the F-18 all the way up to 26. If I ever get the spare time, I'd like to go and repeat their test. Right, let me know your thoughts, please. Let me know why you think it fits this profile and what you think you can do with that and how it will give you the bonus over other fighters, blah, blah, blah. Hope that interested you, and I'll see you later.